The reason every diet you've tried has failed isn't the diet, it's that you've been solving the wrong problem. Because there are 3 levels to nutrition and they only work in one specific order. If you understand this, you will never be fat again. If you don't know who I am already, my name is Zach Rana. I have a biochemistry degree from UC Irvine. I've traveled to over 20 countries while maintaining 12% body fat, and I've spent years building nutrition systems specifically for people whose schedules never stop moving. By the end of this video, you will understand the hierarchy of nutrition and what lever to pull based on where you're at specifically. Here's something that probably isn't going to feel fair. You could eat the most perfectly clean diet in the world, nothing processed, all organic, every meal cooked from scratch, and still gain weight every single week. I know that contradicts a lot of what the wellness industry tells you, but it's biology. I want to share a quick story with you to illustrate this. I have a client named Scott who, when he came to me, he was like, I eat pretty healthy. I'm eating like lean meats and vegetables. And he was like, I just don't know why the scale is still going up and I'm carrying this extra visceral body fat. The answer is simple. He was eating more than he was burning. Not junk, but just too much. At the top of the hierarchy, the very first thing we need to understand with our nutrition is that we have one master variable that determines whether you gain, lose, or maintain weight, and that is energy balance. What this simply means is calories in versus calories out. Our bodies are a thermodynamic system, meaning that they burn energy and they release heat. When we consistently consume more energy than we're expending, we're gonna gain weight. When we consume less energy than we're expending, we lose weight. It's not a theory, it's literally thermodynamics. We can't outwork this, right? Every dietary approach that works, keto, intermittent fasting, paleo, they work because they create a calorie deficit, whether the person following it knows it or not. Now, let's explain how this works for someone who travels, because it gets complicated pretty fast, right? With daily travel, your output is going to be changing constantly. So a week where you're flying, back-to-backs, running on 4 hours of sleep, different time zones, your energy expenditure is gonna be different day to day and week to week versus when you're home. Your hunger signals will also be different, your environment is different. So this is why the approach that we use with people who travel a lot has to include flexible macros with the calorie anchor, okay? So we have a daily calorie target that scales to reality, but not a rigid meal plan that assumes you're just eating the same foods every single day. More on that macro piece in a moment. The takeaway that I want you to have for level 1 is that if you are not losing weight, the very first question you should ask is not what am I eating, but how many calories am I consuming, okay? This leads me to level 2. Once we understand, okay, I'm at a certain amount of calories and I need to eat a little bit less of that, now we get to where it's more interesting. Because 2 people can be in the exact same calorie deficit and yet look very different after 6 months. One person might lose 20 pounds and look lean and athletic. The other person might lose 20 pounds and look smaller but soft and still be carrying visceral fat and still be carrying fat in their gut. Same deficit, completely different result. Why? The difference here is level 2, which is macronutrients. Macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fats. Specifically, protein is going to dictate our body composition because when we eat a diet that's higher in protein, we're going to be able to build, retain, and maintain more muscle mass. Here's where this gets really interesting. As we start to eat a diet higher in protein, start to do some strength training, we now start to put on some muscle tissue, right? 1 pound of muscle burns 4 times the amount of calories that a pound of fat does. So if you want to raise your metabolism over time, what do you think you should do? The answer is put on more muscle. If you want to be able to eat more food and still lose body fat and never have to be worried about being fat again, you should put more muscle mass onto your body because then you can start to eat more food, okay? This is the body composition variable. Calories determine whether we lose weight. Macronutrients, and protein more specifically, determines what type of weight we lose. The research here is clear. High protein intake in a caloric deficit preserves lean muscle mass. It also increases satiety, meaning it keeps you full longer. And it has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient, meaning our bodies burn more calories just having to digest it and break it down. But it's really fascinating. Like once you understand the science, you can get your body to work for you, not against you. Here's how we tie this into traveling specifically, right? When you're traveling a lot, your schedule is unpredictable. You can't control when meetings run long. You can't always control what's on the menu at a client dinner. But if you can control your protein intake consistently and keep that high, your body will be able to keep up with it, and you'll also have an excess amount of calories you can play around with at, the client dinner where you eat a bunch of like bread and random carbs that you might label as bad initially, but actually aren't that bad as long as you have the right ratio of macronutrients. So the main takeaway for level 2 is once your calories are dialed in, the most important macro to manage is protein. When you get this right, your body composition will follow. That leads me to the third and final piece. Now that we've nailed calories in versus calories out, we've gotten our right ratio of macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, level 3 is going to dictate how you feel and how you perform. And if I had to guess, this is probably a lot of the fitness content you see talks about level 3. And unfortunately, it talks about level 3 before tackling levels 1 and 2, which is why I wanted to make this video, because if you don't have levels 1 and 2, level 3 doesn't even matter. But it does matter. And so level 3 is micronutrients. This means vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, and fiber. These are real. There's a lot of research behind them that I'm going to share with you, okay? But here's the thing that nobody tells you. If you're in a caloric surplus, micronutrients aren't the thing that's gonna make you lean. Taking an extra supplement is not the thing that's gonna solve the problem. You only need to really worry about micronutrients once you've dialed in the other 2 levels, okay? Micronutrients are the performance layer. So what they govern is our energy levels, our cognitive clarity, our immune function, our sleep quality, and recovery speed. If you're doing 60-hour work weeks like I used to do and crossing time zones, this matters a lot because it's not just about looking better, it's also about being able to perform and being able to recover. Because what's also going to dictate how well your metabolism works, in addition to building more muscle mass, is also how well you recover. The more you can get deep, high quality sleep, the higher your metabolism will be able to be over time as well. So here are the big levers for micronutrients. The first one is vitamin D, which most people who work indoors and travel are deficient in, and especially if you're living on the East Coast during the winter time, vitamin D levels significantly drop. Vitamin D also directly affects our testosterone, our mood, and our immune function. Magnesium is the second micronutrient that's very important. This depletes rapidly under stress and poor sleep, if you're traveling a lot, essentially is guaranteed to happen. So we need to take a magnesium supplement. Specifically, I like magnesium glycinate. I find that one is the most effective and has the highest rate of absorption for our bodies. Electrolytes are also great, specifically when you're flying, to make sure that you are able to stay hydrated over the long term. Here's what the practical application of this looks like. Once your calories and your protein, your macronutrients are handled, then we simply go into a micronutrient stack to cover all of the gaps that your environment might create, okay? So vitamin D, magnesium glycinate, and electrolytes. This is not a 47 supplement protocol, right? You're gonna see lots of fitness marketing out there that tells you about all these other things that you need. You could also add fish oil into that and maybe a multivitamin stack. But other than that, you don't need a huge amount of supplements. So ultimately, based on what we've gone over, there are 2 paths you can take from here. Path 1 is just keep doing what most people do, which is obsess over food quality and following whatever next trend there is. In 12 months, you'll probably be in exactly the same place you're in now. Or path 2, you can work on and actually practice applying this hierarchy into your life. So again, to recap, you first focus on calories, right? You need to get the right amount of calories. You can use a TDEE calculator, which stands for total daily energy expenditure. You can calculate this online based on your height, weight, age, and gender. Then you go into your macronutrients, and you want to make sure that of the calories you're eating, you're actually getting the right ratio of macronutrients, which would be your proteins, your fats, your carbs. Specifically, I recommend starting with skewing your diet more higher in protein first. And then third, from there, then you can start your micronutrient protocol and see how your body feels. Ideally, it will start to feel better over time. So hopefully this video was helpful and gave you a breakdown and nutritional understanding so that you can now take this with you for the rest of your life and you never have to worry about being overweight again. If you want me and my team's personalized guidance to actually write out this plan for you, you can book a call with us down below. But I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, you can comment them in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.